Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Mark Moss Show, where we talk about the decentralized revolution, the way the world is changing. The world is not going to be the same. It's changing. Just because it's been similar for your lifetime in this very short period of time does not mean that's going to be the way it will be in the future. And if you don't understand this, it's not going to work out too well for you. But don't worry, I got your back. I got your back each and every week. I bring you the latest breaking news as we look at it through the lens of politics, finance, and technology. Now, I covered some of the biggest signposts of the year of 2022 that show us that we are changing, that the pendulum is swinging back from centralization to decentralization. Now, I want to give you some things to watch for in 2023. What's going to happen in 2023? What are the things that we want to keep an eye on? And then I want to talk about what you can do in light of these changes to become financially free in 2023. All right, so we're going to cover this. I got a lot to cover. Bear with me. Don't go away, and let's just dig right into it. So, like I said, I already covered all the big signposts of 2022. If you missed that, don't worry. I got your back. You can just catch it on your favorite podcast player, the iHeartRadio app, iTunes. Just search Mark Moss Show, or you can go to my YouTube channel and search Market Disruptors. On the Market Disruptors channel, you can listen and watch me at the same time. Also, if you'd like the more play-by-play on the daily, you can follow me on Twitter at @1MarkMoss, @1MarkMoss. All right, so a couple big things we talked about in 2022 and what to watch for in 2023. A couple things that I have my eye on is the Russia, Ukraine, U.S. situation. Now, there's a couple things. This is one of the most important things in the world going on right now. It affects the entire world from many levels. From an energy level, of course, Russia exports a massive amount of energy, both oil and natural gas, commodities, but also food, a lot of wheat, grains, fertilizers, things like that. So this is a big deal. All eyes on that. And more importantly, I mean, for a bunch of different reasons, but a couple things that I'm watching. One, for the first time in my life, and I was born under the Cold War, I watched in high school. I watched the fall of the USSR and the fall of the Berlin Wall. So I lived under that. Maybe I was too young, but I really don't think it was a threat. But for the first time in my life, we have a real danger of nuclear war. We really do, and It's something that bothers me because the United States government the neocons inside the government just want this war so bad, so bad. Peace has been tried to be negotiated before it broke out. It's been tried to negotiate many, many times throughout, and the neocons in the U.S. government just do not want peace at all. They're threatening nuclear war. The U.S. is really, really pushing this. They are saying that they'll do everything they can to make sure Putin's defeated. And if he's half as bad as they make him sound out to be, then there's a real threat of nuclear war here. So that's something I'm keeping my eye on. Now, I think all of this comes to a head in 2023. Either this sort of, we kind of come to some sort of a de-escalation Cold War is my most probable case, my base case. I think probably within the next 6 to 8 months, there will be some sort of a peace agreement. Maybe half of Ukraine goes to Russia. The other half of Ukraine kind of goes to NATO, and both sides kind of agree just to kind of hold there. That's probably my base case, but maybe that's also my optimism bias talking. Like I said, the neocons do not want the war to end, partly because it's the way they put all the money in their own pocket. But I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. As that escalates, I'm going to be very careful of where I'm living, because I don't want to live in a high value target for nuclear war, that's for sure. So I'll be thinking about that. Also, we have the China-Taiwan-United States war going on. And so the United States has really increased its rhetoric, and not just rhetoric, its actions against China. China, of course, wants to take Taiwan. It's running military maneuvers over Taiwan all the time. It constantly tells us they want to take over Taiwan. It continues to punish any country or any news agency or sports agency that even calls Taiwan its own country. And so we know China's intentions are very clear. And now, of course, the United States and Japan have come out and said very clearly that they will not allow China to take Taiwan. And so that's another big sticking point right there. And I don't know if the U.S. can force or face another war right now, one over in the east and one over in the west. And so that's a big danger that I'm watching for a couple of reasons. If that continues to escalate, then we would continue to see the economy falter, right? China is the largest importer of goods in the world. They buy more steel and glass and aluminum and everything else in the world than any other country, and they also export all the goods. We saw during the pandemic that we were very, very fragile because we couldn't make our own antibiotics, our own medicines. We couldn't even make our own PPE, right, our own face masks. And so if you care about the economy and what's going to happen with your retirement accounts, your real estate, then you care what's happening over in China and Taiwan, not just because of the war situation, but again, because of the economy. I expect, again, probably something similar to Russia, Ukraine. I continue to see things breaking down. The Biden administration has stepped up and limited China on the amount of microchips they're allowed to buy, put China into a really bad situation. And I continue to see that deteriorating and the world continue to move into this decentralization. Of course, that's what I talk about every week. So we're going from this kind of unipolar world, the centralized world where everybody works harmoniously and agrees and we all trade freely, to a decentralized world where all these countries are looking out for themselves, a multipolar world where we'll probably have, maybe in the next year or two, like maybe 3 main hubs, and maybe by the end of the decade, then 5 or 6 main zones in the world. And I would expect that to continue. What else in 2023? I'm expecting to see the Federal Reserve, the dollar reserve currency of the world. I'm going to continue to see the Fed try to manage inflation. Now, of course, they didn't see inflation. They didn't believe in inflation. Inflation was transitory. It wasn't a problem to, oh, shoot, we got a problem on our hands. And now, of course, they want to tell us that they're keeping an eye on inflation, but they think they might have got it peaked. And so the Fed has been very aggressive on raising rates. They went from having basically a 0% Fed funds rate, and they've been raising it faster this year than any time in history. And of course, that's caused the asset prices to tumble. We've seen the worst financial markets, the bond markets, the stock markets that we've seen in over 50 years. Of course, cryptocurrencies have been completely demolished. All risk assets have been demolished. And that's their goal. The Fed says so. The Fed says that they want to make you feel poor. Right? Demand destruction. That's their goal. They want to make you so broke that you can't afford to put gas in your truck or your car. You can't afford to buy those plane tickets. You can't afford to go out to dinner as much. That's the only lever they have to pull. And so everybody's looking at them going, when will they pivot? And so that's what we're going to be watching in 2023. Will the Fed come off of their hawkish, right, their very aggressive stance? Will they slow the rate hikes? Will they pause the rate hikes? Will they pivot and actually start lowering rates again? Will they go from this quantitative tightening where they're trying to shrink the amount of money or deflate the amount of money supply? Will they pause that, or again, will they pivot and start inflating the monetary supply again? So all eyes are on that. The rule is don't bet against the Fed. So what am I expecting and what am I doing? Well, what am I expecting first? So I think that the world knows, or most financial analysts know, that no matter what the Fed tells you, no matter how hawkish they want to be, no matter how many times they want to tell us they want to inflict massive pain on us, everybody knows there's real limitations to what they can do. And if they continue on the path they're going down, the entire financial system is going to seize up and melt down. And at that point, they're going to be forced to inject so much liquidity in the system that asset prices are going to blow through the roof. So even though they say there is no pivot, even though they say they're going to raise rates and keep them there for a long period of time, we know that there's reality and constraints there. All eyes on the Fed. Will they continue on their hawkish Fed quantitative tightening cycle, raising rates at the fastest rate in history, or will they pivot off of that? And so what I think is most likely to happen, understanding what the natural constraints of the monetary system are, even though I do believe Jerome Powell and the Fed, I do believe they're serious. I do believe they intend to raise rates and keep them there for a long time. I do believe they intend to inflict massive pain. I also understand that when certain things happen, they will be forced to pivot off of that. Now, they don't care about your stocks. So a lot of people are like, oh, if the stock drops 20% more, they're going to pivot. No, they don't care about your stocks. They don't care about your house. They don't care about how much you're getting paid at your job. Now, they do care about the unemployment rate. So if the unemployment rate gets too high, they do care about that. So that would be one thing. So if lots and lots of businesses go out of business and the unemployment rate skyrockets, that's going to be something that they're going to have to pay attention to. The other thing that they're most concerned with is the liquidity in the banking system. And so if the liquidity starts to seize up or start to act irrational, they're going to have to come off of that. And we're already starting to see signs of that. We're seeing, lots of volatility in the treasury markets. We're seeing the swap lines being tapped into by other nation states. And so I think that's what causes the problem first. My guess is that probably by the end of Q1, we have seen a pause. So a pause to the tightening, a pause to raising rates, a pause to the quantitative tightening. Now, the problem is that what they've been doing has a lag to it. And so we probably don't see for 5 or 6 months the effect of what they've been doing. So that puts us into the summer of next year. And I think, unfortunately, we probably have more pain ahead of us through the middle of next year. And I think we get to a point by Q3 of next year that the pain is probably too bad. I think things get away from them much faster than they have expected. And I say that because everything has caught them by surprise. I've been making videos for over a year saying how inflation is going to continue to rage, and they were saying that inflation is not a problem or it's transitory. They are continually caught off guard by all this. They didn't see this crash in the financial markets, and they don't see what's going to happen next. Maybe it's because they don't want to. Maybe it's because they're blinded by their own hubris. I don't know. But I think by Q2, Q3 of next year, things get to a point that they are forced to pivot. And I would imagine by Q4 of next year, 2023, we are back into an easing situation. I expect asset prices to be at least somewhat equal, if not higher than they are now by this time next year. Now, that is a little bit controversial. A lot of people are expecting a 60 to 80% crash, in the next couple of months. Maybe that happens. I'm not talking about what happens between now and then. I'm just saying where I think we'll be next year. That might happen, which will only force their hand even faster and cause them to overreact to the upside and blow things sky high again, just like they did in the COVID pandemic. All right, what else? I think another thing we're seeing is that negative yielding bonds could be approaching their final days. And so for the last about 12 years, the bond market, which is where people park money into debt, specifically sovereign wealth funds or sovereign nations, they buy bonds. And we've seen bonds actually paying negative, meaning if I loan you money, I typically expect to get my money back plus interest. In the negative yielding bonds, that means I loan you money, and instead of getting all my money back plus interest, I get no interest and I get less money back than what I gave you. So I'm actually paying you to loan you money. And you might say, that sounds stupid. Why would anybody do that? And you would be right. Why would anybody do that? The answer is because when you have a few $100 billion, you don't have a lot of places to put it. And you might rather be guaranteed a 1% loss than potentially losing 20% like the stock market. So that would be one reason. But what we're seeing is that I believe that 2023 will be the end of that. We had over $18 trillion in negative yielding, which meant $18 trillion was literally worth less than zero. And that has been coming down, 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 down. And I think by 2023, we will see no more negative yielding debt for now. And so all nations, Japan is the last major economy to still keep their rates below zero. They're finally coming back up. Now that they've kind of given in a little bit to some of these traders, they're going to be forced to continue to give in more. They're going to continue to bring that up, and it will be over 0%. And there will be no more negative yielding bonds for now. I think we'll get there again eventually. Another thing that I think we'll continue to see in 2023 is, like I said, the end of this quantitative tightening, and specifically because of this delay that's happening. Now, one benefit, it's still a loss, but a little bit of benefit is that the reason why, one of the many reasons why all the asset prices have come down is because the Feds have continued to raise rates, which you know. But part of the reason why is because as the Fed raises rates, you get paid now. You can make 4.5% for giving money to the Fed. So if I can give money to the Fed, what they call a guaranteed return, risk-free return. If I can make 4.5% risk-free, why would I take my chance in tech stocks right now? I could lose a lot of money there. I could just make 4.5% there. And they are. But the good news is that you could as well. So right now you're trying to chase, blue chip stocks with dividends at 2% or 3% or 4%. You can just make 4% giving it to the Fed right now. You can go into your brokerage account, go into your money market account, and you can make 3.5%, 4% right now, even up to maybe 4.5%. And so maybe that will continue through 2023. Now, I want to talk about one more thing, the cryptocurrency markets. Let's talk about that for a minute. Now, I do want to say also that, like I said, there's a lot of problems happening. As I said, I think next year continues to get worse. However, big problems create big opportunities. And so when most of the market's going down, there's always somewhere else that's going up. No such thing as good and bad timing. There's always good and bad strategies. And so I see a massive opportunity created by a big problem that we can take advantage of, and it's building wealth in the new parallel economy. This is where all the growth is happening, and if you're not plugged into the parallel economy, you are missing out. I'm having a 3-day live virtual event called, the theme is the Parallel Protocol, where I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about the parallel economy, the opportunities that have arisen out of the parallel economy, how you can take advantage of it to build massive wealth quickly in this parallel economy, and build, grow, protect your wealth as you learn this. And the best part about the parallel economy is it's how we preserve and protect and increase our freedom for ourselves and our kids. You can check it out. Come check out this live event. Go to go.onemarkmoss.com, go.onemarkmoss.com/radio, go.onemarkmoss.com/radio. Now I want to give you something else. Now I want to give you 3 habits to become financially free in 2023. Okay. Now, this is what I've used. Now, if you're just tuning in, maybe you don't know, I've talked about my story. I thought I was really smart. I thought I had it figured out. I made a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars of money, built multiple companies, sold them off, Fortune 500 exits, developed real estate, all these things. And then I got wiped out in 2008, like millions of other Americans, right? My story isn't that unique, like millions of other Americans. And I had to rebuild everything. But because I knew how to do it, I was able to do that pretty quickly. And I want to give you 3 secrets to become financially free, and one of them is really the most important one. It's everything. And no matter where you're at, I don't care if you're 16 years old or you're 66 years old. I don't care if you're a W-2 employee or you're a contractor or whatever you are. This is the key. Now, I want to just tell you real quickly, everybody, let me change that. Not everybody. Most people want the secrets in life to be some secret where it's something really hard and difficult to figure out. But if I could just figure it out, then everything comes easy. I want to get in shape. I want to lose weight. I want to get back to my college weight. But it's so complex. I don't know how. But if I could just get the key, it would be easy. So I buy this $200 Fitbit watch, and I pay $100 a month to get this new diet formed up, and I get these $200 sneakers, and I go to these classes, and I do all these complex things. When the reality is all you have to do is just eat good food. If you just eat meat and vegetables, and that's it, you don't need to work out, you don't need to count calories, you don't need to do anything. So it's very simple, but it's not easy. Because, that cheesecake is calling your name late at night, right? And so that's how the secrets in life are. And so let's talk about a couple of these. Now, let's just dive right in. So 3 habits for financial freedom. So habit number 1, again, very simple, but not easy. And that is to live on less than you earn. Now, I know that goes without saying. It was like, come on, Mark, I thought you were going to give me some secret. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, there really is no secret. But you have to live on less than you earn. And the reason why is because we must produce more than we can consume, and then we have to save that so it can be invested. Warren Buffett says if you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're going to be working until the day that you die. And so the way that we make money while we sleep is by living on less than we earn and putting some of that money away so it can earn for us while we're not working. And I don't care if you're 16 or 66, and I don't care if you're a W-2 or whatever. You can take a little bit of money, I don't care if it's $10 a month, to start to build the habit. Build the habit. Take your $10 a month and put it into something, some sort of, you can put it into a stock, you can put it into a REIT. So you can buy a REIT, which is like a real estate investment trust, and that REIT can pay you cash flow. So let's say that you don't have enough money to go buy real estate to make money. Well, you can go into a REIT, a real estate investment trust, and put your $10 in there, and you're basically getting all the benefits of owning real estate for $10. You can buy institutional quality. So you can do this. I mean, there's a million ways you can do it. I'm not going to dig into all the ways that you can start to invest, but start to build the habit. I don't care if it's $10 a month. Build that habit. It's the only way. I don't care if you make $10 a month. I don't care if you make $100 million a month. You have to live on less than you earn. Now, I think it was 60%. I think it was 40% of people making more than $200,000 a year report still living paycheck to paycheck. So you can be rich making $200,000 a year or $500,000 a year. You can be rich, but still be broke. Wealth is when you have assets that are earning for you. And even if you make $10 a month, you can build assets. All right. You make $10 a month, you spend $9, you put $1 into a REIT, a dividend stock, and it's paying you. That's wealth. All right. So that's step number one. Here's step number two. Here's the biggest one. This is really the key. Maximize your ability to earn. Now, again, I don't care if you're a W-2, I don't care if you're a contractor, I don't care if you own a business. It doesn't really matter. You get paid for the value you provide. Now, your single biggest source of income is your job. It will always be your job. It should always be your job. I see way too many people coming into my investment courses and my investment newsletters and things like that, and they want to quit their job and be a full-time investor. That's not how it works. The best investors in the world, Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, they still go to work every day at a company. Warren Buffett goes to Berkshire Hathaway, right? And so they still have a job. Your job is the single biggest source of income. But how you need to always constantly be increasing that. And how do you do that? Well, you make more money as your skill rises. So you have to improve your skills. Now, I believe that the best skills are the ones that are closest to the money supply. So those are typically around sales and marketing. When I had to start all over in 2008 or 2009, I had lost my income, I had lost my assets, I had to start over, but I know sales and marketing. So the very first thing I did is I had a friend that had a mortgage company, and he said, hey, Mark, if you could generate leads for me, people that want to get their mortgages, I could pay you a percentage back. So he was basically saying, Mark, if you bring me money, I'll share that money with you. Now, who wouldn't? I bet you I could go down to my downtown area and walk into any one of these businesses, anyone. And if I could talk to the owner, and I would say, hey, if I bring you $1 million in sales this year, would you give me 100,000 of it? And I bet you every single one would say yes. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they want that? And that's exactly what I did with my buddy. He said, hey, if you bring me money, I'll give you some of the money back. And I did. And so I have that skill. And so I would recommend learning a skill around that. The quickest way to make more money is to improve your skills. I also look at it as like a way to, it's really, it's the trade. I have a daughter, just graduated high school. Lots of her friends are graduating high school. Some of them didn't go to college, some did. One of her good friends went to college, and he's dropping out now, and he wants to start welding. He wants to learn a trade. A lot of his friends already started welding. They've already joined unions. They're already making good money. They've already, and so it's like you can learn a trade. Now, I just think that trades were typically welding, framing, plumbing, etc. If I was going to build a house or build a building, I would hire trades. I'd hire a framer, a roofer, a plumber. If I want to build a business, I also hire trades. And those trades are copywriting, paid ads, video editing, graphic design, right? And those are also trades. Now, the beauty of those types of trades is that you are free from tyranny of place and time, most likely, as opposed to being a welder. You have to be at a certain place at a certain time to weld. So those are the types of skills that I would look to do. Now, you can learn how to do any of those online on YouTube, or you can buy courses for $50 or $500 or $5,000, depending on the level that you want to learn. And then you can go deliver those for free. Go find a business owner and say, hey, can I run your paid ads? Can I do copywriting? Can I do this for you for free until you're able to get them results? Once you're able to get them results, go to somebody else and show them the same results. And eventually, people will be paying you for those skills. Now, this is a never-ending role because you always want to continue to add to your skills. Now, if that sounds tiring, it is. And if that sounds tiring and you don't want to do it, then just go get your job at McDonald's. Now, the third one, I just talked about, number two was to increase the skills that you have so you can earn more money. You get paid for the value you provide. So you want to make more money, you got to provide more skill or more value. How do you provide more value? You got to increase your skills. That takes time. You got to do that. It takes perseverance. Now, this does kind of coincide with something else where I believe that the world's changing. And I believe we are witnessing the birth of a whole new, what I call parallel economy. You might have heard other people talking about this, the parallel economy. It's the way that we win. It's the way that we push back and defeat tyranny by setting up the parallel economy. I believe it's also the single greatest opportunity that you and I have right now to build wealth. It's a blue ocean. Nobody's doing it, and everybody wants it. No matter what your business is or what skill you have or what skill you want to learn, you can apply it in the parallel economy to make massive wealth fast and defeat tyranny. I'm going to have a 3-day live virtual workshop. And I'm going to have some experts and some speakers, and we're going to talk about what this parallel economy is, how you can tap into it with your existing business or your skills, how you can build new skills to build wealth fast in this parallel economy, and how we can use this to preserve our freedom for ourselves, for our kids, and our grandkids. It's going to be massive. It's something that's it's where I'm moving for the next year because I care about the world. I want to push back on tyranny for my kids, and we can do it. And it's the greatest opportunity that we have. I'm calling it the Parallel Protocol. You can check it out. Go to go.onemarkmoss.com, go.onemarkmoss.com/radio, go.onemarkmoss.com/radio. Check it out. 3 days of live training on the biggest opportunity to make money and beat tyranny. All right, now jumping back in. Number 3. Now, they say that the average, billionaire, I think, has like 7 streams of income. All right. And so we talked about this. Habit number 1 was living on less than you earn. And you have to live on less than you earn so that what you save can be another source of income, right? And so you live on less than you earn, and you create that multiple stream of income. Now, there's a couple ways that you can do that. You can do it with income-producing stocks, like dividend stocks. Like I said, you can do it with REITs, real estate investment trusts. You can create a side hustle and do things like that. Now, I think for the most part, in my opinion, unless you're really young and you're kind of like maybe in part-time jobs, I think side hustles, honestly, it's a little bit of a distraction. I think it's better to be really single-minded focused on what it is that you're trying to do rather than go create all these different side hustles. But let's say that you're kind of in this part-time job, you're a student, or you're in this part-time job and you're looking for the next thing. Well, then side hustles are a great way to test that new thing before you jump into it full-time. My first business, I only ever had one job my whole life, and then I started a business. But I ran that business for about 6 months on the side as a side hustle until it was up running enough till I kind of proved it, and then I left my job and I went full-time into that. And so that's what I'd kind of recommend. If you want to do a side hustle as you're testing the waters, do that. Otherwise, you want things that are more passive. Focus on building your skills, providing those skills. If you get one skill and provide it to the marketplace with a little bit of scale, you should be able to get that to $1 million. Then create those multiple streams of income by saving and reinvesting that surplus capital. And like I said, income-producing assets. If you do that, typically within about 7 years, you could become wealthy. You could probably become financially free. Let me give you an example. Let's just say, for example, that let's say that you save $500 a month. Maybe that's a lot for you. Let's say you save $500 a month. In a year, that's $6,000. For $6,000, I might be able to go buy a house in Missouri or Kansas or Ohio. Okay. So now I take that house and I buy it. And now that house makes me say $400 or $500 a month. And now that $400 or $500 a month goes into a bank. I don't need it because I'm still working. And that $400 or $500 goes into the bank every single month. And let's say that it takes 2 years. And within 2 years, now I have $12,000. And I have enough to buy a second house. Now I have 2 houses going into a bank account. And I'm still working. I don't touch the money. It goes in the bank. And now after a year, I have another $12,000. I buy another house. And then after another year, I buy 2 houses. And then after another year, I buy 3 houses. And within 7 years, you could have 4 or 5 houses. And you could have thousands of dollars of income coming in. It just takes a while. I understand in the crypto bro days, you want to make your 100,000% return on your cryptocurrency, but instead it all gets taken by Celsius or FTX. The way that you build lifelong wealth is by living on less than you earn and putting it aside into things that can compound over time, whether that's a REIT, income producing thing, or some sort of real estate or like that. It makes habit number 1 the most important thing, and then increasing your income. Now, my mission is try to help people navigate this new decentralized revolution. The world's changing. Of course, the World Economic Forum has openly stated what their goal is, of course, for you to own nothing and be happy. But I want you to be an owner. I want you to own a house. I want you to own investments. I want you to own your car. I don't want you to own nothing and be happy. And so that's why I'm trying to help you out here. If you can build more wealth, if you can accumulate more wealth, if you can preserve more wealth, then you won't end up owning and nothing and being happy. Now, the single greatest way to build that wealth, I believe, is in this new parallel economy that's building up. It's the biggest opportunity. I'm talking about, Socrates said, focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And so we cannot change the education system. We can't change the financial system. We can't change the mainstream media. We can't change the medical system. We can't change any of that. It's not even worth trying. It's not worth wasting any time, effort, or energy into that. But what we can do is we can create parallel structures. That's what I'm doing. I'm not on mainstream media. I'm not on CNN. I created my own media network, right? We can do that, and that is the greatest opportunity. Now, on top of that, as you've seen through the last election and the election before that and the election before that, your vote means very little these days. And a lot of people feel very defeated because of that, right? You see this omnibus bill, and the government's trying to ram through all this spending. $1.7 trillion. They're going to send $400 million to secure borders for other countries, but expressly prohibit us spending any money for our border. We're going to send $200 million to Pakistan for gender studies. We're going to spend almost $1 million so an LA trans group can teach trans education in elementary schools. And I don't like that. And you probably don't like that either. And you feel very defeated. You're a victim. But what can we do? What can we do? We can't do anything about it. Let's just ignore it. We can't do anything about it. Wrong. We can do something about it. We do it by building the parallel economy. It's the single greatest opportunity we have, and it's how we affect the most change. Give people a way to vote with their money. Now, like I said, that's the opportunity. Go for it. Run it. Now, if you'd like a little bit more help, I'm bringing in some panels, some experts, some people that can explain to you what this parallel economy is, give you ideas of how you can build into this, and more importantly, how we can use this to change the world that we have in front of us for our kids and for our grandkids. Go to go.onemarkmoss.com/radio, go.onemarkmoss.com/radio to find out about this 3-day event I'm having. And I'd love to help you out and, more importantly, change the world. All right. Now, you're listening to The Mark Moss Show. Of course, I talk about the decentralized revolution each and every day, the way the world is changing right before our very eyes as we look at it through the lens of politics, finance, and technology. And that's what I got. That's what we got for today. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.